Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching. I'm glad you're here and welcome to another episode of Unwrapped. So today, we've already kind of unwrapped this. About last month, went to South Boston and picked up an IBM PS2 Model 30, 8086 edition, not the 286 that I thought it was until after I got there. But you know what they say, a deal's a deal. And there were a couple of cards inside. There was the 5 1/4 inch external floppy drive adapter, ISA bus. And then there was this card here that was also inside it. Came with the original box, came with the original documentation. Now this is a 2 megabyte expanded memory adapter. Expanded, not to be confused with extended, does not add more usable memory above 640K to be used for programs like DOS or Windows. Expanded memory provides additional memory for programs that were actually designed to use expanded memory. But what we're going to be trying out here is the documentation for this card, which, even though the computer and this expansion card did not have any water damage, the documentation did have quite a bit of water damage. The instructions talk about use in the XT, the AT, the PC 3270, and doesn't say anything about the use of this card in original PC. And I guess we're going to do an experiment in this video of Unwrapped. Is we're going to pop the cover of my system unit, put this expansion card in there, and see how it works, if it will work, if the BIOS won't scream, the system won't scream. Knock on wood, hopefully it won't let out magic smoke. But there is one thing that I have to do first. I'm going to boot off, I'm going to fire up the expansion unit, which is going to sound like a Banshee. Need to run the advanced diagnostics disk just to refresh my memory about all the other expansion cards that are in the expansion unit, because this expansion card does provide a parallel port that can be either keyed primary or secondary or disabled, and right now it is set as disabled. But there's no use in wasting a parallel port if we don't need to. So we'll be right back. Well, here we are. We're waiting for the advanced diagnostics disk to start, just so we can get the system check out and look at what's in there. All we're checking for, is there a parallel port in there already? I could poke my head around the back of the machine, but I'm lazy, and doing this adds more video time. All right, system checkout 220. Now, my understanding, reading the option instructions, is that this expanded memory card will only work on a system board that has 256K of RAM. It will backfill from there. Okay, so I do have a standalone printer adapter in the expansion unit already. I guess we can leave this one on the expansion card, or sorry, on the expanded memory card disabled. So let's end the checkout. We'll park the heads and turn everything off and take the cover off the system unit and try putting this in there. So one thing I do have to do is turn the power strip off. I have the IBM key locks that secure the cover on, and the only way you can actually take it apart is the key lock doesn't come off unless the key is in the on position. So it's just the way that is. So we'll turn it on, find a flathead screwdriver, and start taking this thing apart. And hopefully I don't lose any of the screws. We'll put those on the expansion unit. I'm going to unplug the expansion unit and the monitor, at least temporarily. Now it's been a while since I've familiarized myself with the dip switch settings in an original PC to make sure that the memory settings are set right. Okay. So and it looks like I've got two full-length, almost full-length memory expansion cards. Of course, I'm not using a portion of one of them because we've got 256K on the motherboard, 256K on one card, and then 256K on another card. So 768K doesn't work in a 5150. I'm probably out of view, and I apologize in advance. So I'm going to take both of these memory cards out. Just going to take a quick breather on screen to verify some dip switch settings. Okay. So the settings should already be there. I've got the 64K / 256K option switches, which, aren't what we need because we're not using that card. But let's put this card in here. Oops. And hook our monitor back up. And hopefully no magic smoke will come out, right? Hopefully not. We'll turn that off. We'll turn our power strip back on. And we'll boot off the advanced diagnostics diskette. Now, hey, the 1801, that's to be expected because I do not have the expansion unit plugged in or turned on right now. Just want to see how far we get with this memory expansion card plugged in. Okay, let's do a system checkout. Well, technically, it's accurate, but not accurate. I'm going to say no. And I'm just going to wonder what happens if we add items. I'm not sure. Well, I do have the diagnostics disc that did come with this expanded memory card. So I'm going to go get it, and we'll be right back. Just goes to show you, sometimes there is even newer stuff. Now, the version of Advanced Diagnostics I have is version 2.2. But the version of, I assume this is base diagnostics, because it doesn't say Advanced Diagnostics on the disc, but it's version 2.22. I've never seen an Advanced Diagnostics of this revision number. If you have, please post in the comments. I'd like to get a hold of that. So I'm going to put my Advanced Diagnostics 2.0 away, and let's boot up off of Standard Diagnostics 2.22 and see what happens. Well, version 2.22, so it is just regular diagnostics. My stomach always sinks a little bit. I know it's supposed to pause like this, but sometimes you wonder, is it pausing just to load, or did the machine crash and halt somewhere? Okay, so this version of the diagnostics does pick up the expanded memory adapter 2 megs. I think that's pretty impressive. I don't know what 131 is. Well, okay. Well, I'm not sure that we have error codes in the guide to operations. While we're waiting for it to go through and complete, actually, if you'll just bear with me, I think what we're going to try instead is we are going to plug in the expansion unit, fire that up, and then we'll run diagnostics with everything running. I figure while we're waiting, and we really haven't unwrapped something, let's unwrap this addenda for the guide to operations. Let's see what we got. It looks like this one includes, well, for the IBM XD, which this is not that. Testing your system hardware. System checkout. Okay, the list is correct. Well, we're going to have to figure out what error 131 is. Well, I figure if you want to keep watching or skip ahead a few minutes, I'm going to run through the entire set of diagnostics, including the floppy drive and the hard drive routines. I'm sure you probably already know what system unit error 131 is, but I don't recall off the top of my head, and I'm going to look it up later. Okay, now the fun begins. Now the fun begins. Well, I'll put in my 2 scratch discs, which should still be formatted. I'm a big fan of 3M media if you can't find the original IBM stuff. I don't know what 1201 means. I'm glad it's not a hard disk failure. Nothing is attached. No. This is a 256K CPU board. So I'm reading the option instructions while we're waiting for diagnostics to finish, and on page 225, it talks about setting the starting address to 256K on your system board. And done that, pulled all the extra memory out, so it's only 256K, and I did not verify that the jumper on the expansion memory board is set for that starting address, but I'm wondering, because it says that the position JP2 needs to be set to cover pins 2 and 3. In number 5, it says locate the starting address jumper and verify that the JP2 is over pins 2 and 3. This sets the starting address to 256 KB. Well, I wonder, if you set the pins at 1 and 2, it doesn't say what the starting address is. Does anybody know? Post in the comments. Just going to see if I can sneak a look. No, the jumper pin is set correctly for starting address of 256 kilobytes. Alright, drive D, let's hurry. I will say one thing, the Western Digital branded IBM drives, in my experience, seem to be the most reliable, knock on wood, with the exception of one. I had... I don't know if it died or I killed it when I tried to have it coexist with, it was a 10 meg drive, and I tried to use the Revision 3 IBM branded ZBEC controller to have the two drives coexist. That's when it died, so then I had to find another 20 meg drive to take its place. Oops. Seems we're always waiting. Can you imagine what trying to run diagnostics on a multi-hundred meg or multi-gig drive? No, we're not running. So I do think this is neat. It's an official IBM option in an original PC, even though the documentation says that's not what it's for. So, what do we find out? It throws two errors. I'm going to power this down, and we'll research the errors and see what I come up with. But I guess that answers the question, is technically you can put this card in the original PC. It is detected. You can run diagnostics on it. It will pass the diagnostics of the card itself. So I appreciate you sticking around, and we'll see you in the next video.